This episode is made possible by New Masters Academy, the world's absolute #1 online art school in the entire universe. Click the link down below for a free 7-day trial. Thank you, New Masters Academy. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the 100 After Hours podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Vincent, a background designer for the Hollywood animation industry.
And I'm Janet, the ex-Disney artist turned independent creator, and this is a podcast about all things art, business, and whatever we feel like.
Now today we're going to talk about Disney is failing and what this means for independent creators.
But before we get into it, make sure to touch, jingle, flick all our bells and buttons, please and thank you. Biscuit really wants you to.
Oh, thank you so much. Oh my gosh. Look at you, it's winter and all of that stuff. Prepare for Thanksgiving.
We are in our winter bodies.
We are in our winter bodies.
Belly rolls and everything.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Jelly rolls and everything.
You look great still though.
No, I love it. I
love the chunk.
I love it. I call it the juice.
The juice.
I like more juice.
Yes.
If you know what I mean.
Yes.
All right, so, what made us talk about this? The Eternals just came out.
Yes.
It was supposed to be, I don't know, there have been a lot of talk, I can't talk. There has been a lot of talk that it could be really good, it could be really bad, but it turned out that not a lot of people watched it.
Yeah. And they wanted it to be like the new Avengers or the new Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, I think they wanted it to be like the new Guardians because this was like a unknown group of people, and they were hoping to like, oh yeah, this is gonna be like the new ragtag group of,
we're Marvel,
cool
we're Disney,
kids.
We're too big to fail. We're gonna give you random people you don't know or care about and hope you just give us billions of dollars of your hard-earned money. Yeah, it didn't do well, and I have been waiting to shit on Disney again because of a lot of things I have been noticing in the news. But recently, their Q3, I think, or Q4, I forget. I think it's Q3 because it's like fall. Earnings came out, and it was revealed a lot of really bad news for Disney. Their stocks have fallen pretty drastically, I think, because of this news. Usually that happens if, your earnings come out and you lost money instead of earned money. So, like, Shang-Chi lost money, Black Widow lost money, and these are considered, like, according to the media, successes in 2021, 2022. I mean, 2021, Black Widow was early 2021?
Yes, early 2021. In the middle of the year, we had the Shang-Chi. And then now we have this movie, which is just like no one really Man, you know what's doing really well internationally, just everywhere, is that James Bond movie, man.
Yeah.
People are watching that James Bond movie.
I'm happy for it. I'm like, it didn't do all that well here in the United States, but I'm sure like everyone who loves James Bond in like the UK probably went and saw it and stuff like that. But also, not only are Disney's movies failing, which is not like the biggest prediction because like it's clearly obvious if you pay attention to the budget of the movie and how much it's actually earning that it's most likely going to lose money. But Disney Plus subscriptions have slowed down too, which like I saw it coming because like out of all the streaming offers, Disney Plus kind of had like the least amount of offering, and if you aren't into Marvel, Star Wars, or like basically cartoons, then why would you get that compared to like, I don't know, Netflix and HBO Max and all these other streaming services? So all in all, Disney, you can kind of at this point say it's failing. Like, there's no denying it. Like, investors are taking their money out of their stock because they're failing.
Do you imagine something like the original Avengers happening anytime within this decade?
No.
This decade?
No.
From this year to 2030?
No.
No?
No. I just don't think that it's possible, partly because of other stuff that we're going to talk about today. That, like, the culture is just not with them anymore. And it really showed with the Eternals opening reception. I thought more than like the fact that people, it's not, according to a lot of people, because we didn't go watch it. By the way, if you know anything about me, I don't want to watch anything Disney. I don't want to support them, especially after, like, every time I have to, like, sometimes you'll like watch cartoons on TV and I have to like leave the room because I am that like traumatized by the animation industry. So like I just don't want to give them any of my money. But if you really, really, really want us to like go watch it,
because it seems like they really, really, really need our help.
Well, I don't know if they'll take our help, but like if you really want me to come back on this podcast and be like, I can't believe you guys made me watch that movie and this is what I think about that movie, then there's a donate button somewhere.
The very first Honey and Absinthe show where we have a donate button. All we need is how many dollars?
So I think YouTube takes like half of the money. So like I think what is it, $24 for the both of us to go watch the movie?
Yeah. Something like a matinee would be like $24.
So I guess like $50. If each of you if like 50 of you donated like $1,
that would be enough.
We could probably go and watch Eternals and like
really
make me waste like 3 hours.
Yeah, really hear Janet just talk your ear off about, oh my god, this movie is blah blah blah, this and that. So if you really want that content, if you really want, it's like pay-per-view. you gotta pay us. You gotta force Janet to watch the Eternals. If you want to force Janet to watch the Eternals, donate a small sum, please. A small sum. Don't donate too much. Honestly, there's our new brand spanking send tip button.
Unless you also want us to like consume popcorn, I don't know. But according to a lot of people, Eternals wasn't very good. But the thing is, like the past, I don't know, 5-6 decade basically, I feel like the critics and the movie journalists, what are they called? Cultural journalists? I don't know. The people who review and critique movies for like their news organization or whatever.
Like the Gizmodo stuff.
Yeah, that stuff.
Yeah.
They have been shilling for Disney and these type of companies for, I don't know, a while now. Like I haven't trusted Rotten Tomatoes in a really, really, really long time. Weren't Black Widow and Shang-Chi, the journalists were shilling for those movies as well?
Right.
Still.
They were saying after the opening weekend that like, oh, it did so well.
So well.
Which like really induces the FOMO.
Yeah.
Which like they hope boosts numbers for the following weekend.
Yeah. So I thought it was the most notable thing about the opening of Eternals then was the fact that they weren't doing that anymore. Like they have done that for like Captain Marvel, they have done that for like every single Disney Marvel movie that's come out.
And some Star Wars movies too.
Yeah. Even if it's like not that great, they'll like say it's great.
Oh, it's great.
The best thing since Wonder Bread, I don't know. And I was so shocked. I was like, wait a second. It's not cool. And like Disney isn't cool anymore. Like people are actively shitting on Disney, I think, for the social points, which means like Disney isn't cool, and to shill for Disney isn't cool anymore, so the journalists aren't going to do it anymore.
I wonder if the journalists, whichever publication they write for, I wonder if their numbers, they got like good numbers and good comments. They were like, hey, thank you.
I wonder. Yeah, I wonder if like,
thanks, man.
You finally
thanks, reviewer.
At best a non-biased job for once, and then people are like, hey, I can get down with that review, I agree with it or whatever. And yeah, I was really shocked because like literally up until like Shang-Chi, they were still doing it. And this is like the first time I saw, wow, look, people really are not doing that for Disney anymore. And I think this is a really big turning point. I think culture is changing away from that. Like, I think this is a cultural thing. This isn't just like, oh, the movie wasn't very. There have been plenty of bad Disney movies, bad Marvel movies, bad Star Wars movies, but like, never this kind of reception. Like, it's rotten. It's like 40-something% rotten on Rotten Tomatoes. So I think it's more of a cultural shift than it is like, oh, it's just a bad movie. I think actors are next.
So after the journalists turn, they used to be super shills. Now it's the actors. I mean, it's already kind of happened with Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah.
How public she was about the lawsuits for Black Widow, right?
Yeah. I think actors will start to shit on Disney as well. A lot more, at least. Like you know,
if it makes them feel safe socially, because everybody is starting to do it, then I don't see why they can't air their grievances just for the social points. Just like how they used to use it for the social points.
Yes. And like, obviously people like Scarlett Johansson and John Boyega have, but like, you know, that's so rare. Most actors, they won't say anything about Disney because look, like anyone, like they're hoping one day they'll get some Marvel role or something. There's so many comic book heroes, maybe I can be so and so.
In an alternate universe, maybe I can be Iron Man. Yeah. So
they went during like peak Disney. I don't think Scarlett Johansson or John Boyega would have said anything. But now that like things are turning, obviously their franchises are failing. It's become more safe, I think, for a lot of people to shit on Disney.
Which was unthinkable 5 years ago, man. Yeah. Imagine that. Imagine telling people like, oh, this is all gonna like fall apart. Yeah. In like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, if you were me, basically, and you were telling people that, people looked at you like you're fucking nuts. You're like, what do you mean? And
you told your coworkers
and they didn't believe me. I was like, I don't know, I see the writing on the wall. Like, where are they gonna go from here? And these aren't even great, in my opinion. They're not even like, you know, beginnings great.
So at this time, I was telling you, I think Disney could actually pull this off.
And I was like, no.
I think they can actually, like, after this Endgame movie, they're gonna like figure out a way to suddenly like make themselves important, just as important for the next decade.
Yeah, that like people forget so fast because now that it's suddenly so popular to shit on Disney, people forget so how much everyone loved Disney just a few years ago. Just like
I was really into it too.
Yeah,
I mean we watched every single, I think, Marvel thing except for Captain Marvel up until Endgame, and then after Endgame we just cold. It was cold turkey. Yeah, I was like, I didn't really need to watch it. I didn't even need to see the Spider-Man movies anymore. I was kind of like over it.
And it's not really for us. It was like
it's for the kids,
teens. Yeah. Now, if you like Disney a little bit too much, you sound like a boomer millennial who's not with the times. You know, like
what's with being with the times, like being on the internet. On the TikToks.
You're not with the culture.
What's with the culture? What does that mean?
Like,
for all the grandpas and grandmas out there.
Well, anime.
Oh,
yes. Squid Game. Like, you know what I mean? Like, people are over it. People are over Disney. Like, I don't know people as into Disney except for millennials.
We saw the box office numbers for that weekend in that one podcast we talked about how My Hero was at the same weekend as Last Night in Soho, and it made about $6.4 million that weekend. And we were just like, holy smokes, man.
Yeah. And I was even more impressed when I found out they were in like half the amount of theaters as all the other movies or something like that. And they were actually like in the theaters, they were like the highest grossing showing of that week. So imagine if it actually went worldwide and we're in like all the theaters. Like, apparently those theaters are packed, and we saw it because we were there. We were like, yeah, there's something There's something happening here. But the thing is, like, what does this mean as a creative? I wanted to talk about, like, if you're a creator, how would you take advantage of this? And I realized that in the era when the past, like, decade, I would say, where Marvel and Disney has been a really, really big thing, it really did affect artists and creatives in how commercialized everything was. So I'll just speak to my own experience and everything that I saw leading up to, like, this point in time. But no one gave a shit about working in entertainment as an artist or creative until a very, very specific point. I think it's the reason why everyone our age, around, like, our late 20s, early 30s, got in all at the same time, because that's all when, like, working in video games, working in movies, working in entertainment and whatever became such a, like, popular thing to do. Before, it didn't seem like that. It was just like, oh, you're gonna be an artist, how are you gonna make money? That's always the assumption. But then around when I was, like, in high school, late middle school, came, like, I don't know what happened. Maybe it was, like, I was really into, like, video games at the time, like Final Fantasy, that kind of stuff. And then, like, entertainment design, the major blew up, and, like, the term concept art became a, like, really, really, like, popular word, like a common word that most people know what that means.
I don't think most people know what that means. Don't you think? I mean, like, I think people in the know. I'm saying even people who have nothing to do with the creation of entertainment, but consume entertainment, know what the term concept art is. Huh. Like, I think people who play video games know what concept. I see.
But before then, they were just like, it's just a video game. I like playing video games.
I see.
I don't know what artists work on this. Like, I don't think
people didn't even understand that artists worked.
Yeah, exactly, and what
Super
they did.
Mario. Yeah. I see.
They thought, like, I don't know, a bunch of, like, programmers or something design the game or design the console, whatever. But then the term concept art, and I think it became more, like, more people were understanding of, like, what you can do in entertainment.
In our generation, it was a really hard sell to tell your parents, I want to be an artist that works in an industry,
yeah, I mean,
like an entertainment, like, what do you do?
Yeah.
And it's, like, a really hard sell back then. But then, I don't know, like, 20 years later, it's not difficult for, I assume, a parent right now to understand that, like, oh, my kid's an artist.
Yeah,
they actually, like, really draw well on Procreate. Oh, yeah. I wonder if they could, like, help design the next video game, Uncharted,
or whatever. Work on Tangled, the next Frozen, whatever. And that was when, you know, I got really into video game concept art and all that stuff. So I ended up going to Art Center, and our generation, when we were there, it was all about Disney and Marvel and like commercial mainstream stuff when we were going to school.
No, even earlier than that. When we first hit school, the school was transitioning between classical illustration editorial for, let's say, like the New Yorker, that's what it was, like, kind of branded as, our school, to becoming more of, like, a school that churns you into a strong enough artist to work at pretty much any kind of entertainment, illustration, concept design job.
And like the entertainment design thing was really, really, like, popular, advertised as, like, oh, you can work in, like, live action movies like the Avengers, but you can also, like, make concept art for, like, Mass Effect or something.
But what they were really selling, what they're still selling, is the idea that it's a stable job.
Yes.
Yeah, that's, like, at its core, because I know this very well, because it's like, that's the the catch that always gets your parents to go, okay.
Yeah, but
I'll
like
look into
if you
it."
want to eat, you can like you have like you know these movies, right? They happen every single year. You're
Right.
guaranteed to like make a certain amount of money and to just be able to feed yourself. You're not gonna be one of those like starving artists, fine artists, or whatever. And they, yeah. So when we were going to school, because it was like I really, really recommend people not sleep on the fucking artist, man. Because what people don't understand is us artists create culture. Which means we define culture. And we're shit on all the time, and you don't like us because we're kind of dumb. I get it. But like, in this one very, very important part of society, we're very good at this, okay? We design everything you wear and use and consume.
I can hear the people go, "I don't believe you."
Yeah, whatever, I don't care. I don't care that you don't believe me.
Well, here's one thing. Tesla. I am just, when I look at Tesla, I don't know what normal people feel.
Yeah.
I assume normal people, when they look at Tesla, they go, "Holy smokes, this futuristic thing, holy, like, wow."
Yeah, when it came out.
When it came out. And still people probably view it as this like, oh, it's like, this is what the future of cars is going to be.
Like, yeah.
But back in 2009, 2010,
Yeah.
when I got into school, that design was everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere. I don't know what I think the Prius just came out barely at that time. Barely. But like all the while I was at school and on the walls, because like these people are crazy. These people who go to our school to design cars are crazy. They have to design and draw and paint. I don't know. They have to like draw these cars with tape.
Yeah. So like, for those who don't know, one of Art Center's most famous majors is our transportation design. We people who come out of our school are basically responsible for all automotive design out there right currently. And yeah.
But my point is like it's something that we've seen 5 years before it actually came out.
Yes.
And I think the point is we're not like upselling our school.
No, yeah.
The point is that like you go to these places, you visit these schools, or you visit like these communities where like art is happening, because this is the stuff that's going to like dictate the next 5 years.
Yeah.
If you're sleeping on this, if you don't know what the kids are into, then like, and you want to like change things, like good luck. Like,
yeah, that's why I see people who like look down on artists. Like, I mean, you go to any one of our grad shows, you'll probably be able to predict what the future is going to look like 5 years from now, what we're going to be watching, what we're going to be consuming, what our cars are going to look like
you want to talk about when we went to grad show the last time? I think like 2017, 2018.
Yeah. So we went to, this was probably the last grad show we went to, so it was a few years ago, and we go visit our major first. We go look at like illustration and what they have to offer, and our department, you can break illustration, the umbrella term, into like 3 basic categories. There's like fine art.
Hogwarts.
Yeah.
It's like Hogwarts.
Yeah.
It's like Slytherin and all this stuff.
For the layman who doesn't understand anything about art, there's like fine art, which is what you typically think of as fine art.
Think of it as the house of fine art.
Yeah. Like weird stuff, and or just like classical big paintings, that kind of thing.
And the house of photography.
Yes, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then there's like editorial, which basically is any kind of thing you see on like magazines, any that's illustrated, or what's
at this point websites.
Yeah, websites at this point. So any of those Google illustrations and stuff like that you see when you're scrolling down BuzzFeed or whatever, there's usually like an illustration those are like editorial illustrators. And then there's entertainment, which at the time was actually fairly new, and it's more like commercial art, basically all commercial art around like movies, animation, that kind of thing.
Cartoons, yeah.
So we like to go and visit and see like what is trending in that sphere, in each of the different categories, because it's all, you know, if you're really into commercial art, you're not necessarily going to follow the same trends as like what's happening in fine art. You know what I mean? But I like to pay attention to all three because it's all under the same overall umbrella. And what we expected to see was just more of like the same thing that we were when we were going to school. And what that was this hyper focus on getting hired at a place, something like Disney. So everyone would draw,
or Blizzard, like if like there would be a
Yes.
camp of people who would make stuff that you would see in an animation thing in your streaming service, and there was a camp of people who would design stuff for, let's say, like spaceship stuff or fantasy stuff for movies or video games, basically.
Yeah. And you know, for typically what you would see with our generation of artists was just this, like, everyone just drew like Disney or DreamWorks or whatever big studio that they wanted to work in. They just adhered to a certain very, very strict formulaic way of creating, designing, telling stories, and this is like across all majors, in my opinion.
Because if you wanted to get hired, you needed to look, your drawings or what your designs need to look a certain way.
Yeah, and I saw that in film, I saw that in graphic design, I saw that in like even transportation, like all the cars that all the modern like 2020 2021 model cars that are coming out, to me they all look like the concept designs from when we were in school. So it took like 5 to 10 years for like people to graduate, get jobs, and then be like high enough on the food chain to finally design the Toyota, to design the Lexus or whatever. But like, yeah, that's what the designs we're seeing now were created like back when we were in school. Those designers, at least. And so with at the time, everyone was so hyper focused on Disney. I remember going through school. I mean, Art Center is kind of famous for this, but like they like beat the individuality out of you. But it felt particularly restrictive if you weren't super into Disney. Because I was super into anime, and you actually were more into like becoming a comic book artist. It just felt like, for a lot of people who didn't necessarily adhere to that very like commercial style, but it's not just like stylistic stuff, it's also like storytelling stuff too. Like everything needed to be a certain formula of like, it needs heart, it needs this, it needs that, and like there was a pushback from a certain side of our school that like thought that was a bunch of bullshit, and like you're not true artists or whatever, you're killing creativity. But like no one cared, because like that was the trend though. That's how Disney and Marvel affected culture at the time. You had to like adhere to it, like join or die, basically. Join or not be popular, join or not get a job, or whatever it was. But we go to this, so that's what we were expecting. We were going to this grad show, and I was really, really shocked that there were a lot more people who, they have like these grad show walls. You have a display, basically a mural, but you like can put up shelves and stuff and display all your hard work. And a lot more people were trying to create a brand, like a personal brand, or a apparel line, or toys, or if they were more on the entertainment side, they had like pitches or like storyboards. When I graduated, I was placed in the back of my class because I did storyboards instead of concept art, because our school is not known for doing storyboards. I had instructors and other people ask me, so what are you going to do with that? I'm like, do you not know what storyboard artists do, what their job, like, what do you mean? Like, that's such a huge job. You'd expect other artists to know what, but I would have people be like, so what are you gonna do with that? I'm like, what do you mean? It's like the job before background design. Do you not understand this? But so I would see people with like stories that they written and storyboarded all on their own, and pitches, and just this, everyone was leaning towards and trending towards the creative entrepreneur, where you place more value in being an individual and wanting to be an individual, have your own individual style, your own story that might not be suitable for Disney.
When we first came in, it was unthinkable for you to just like
do that,
be an independent art. Like, what is it like? No, what do you mean?
Yeah, what does that mean?
Like, how do you do that? You get hired by a big company, and then you
design or create for them. Yeah. So that was a few years ago. And when we say, I've said before that like we're usually 2 or 3 years too early for a lot of things, because we're like noticing all these trends before it happens, and like, you know, like artists, you know, part of the reason I think this is happening is because like we had like a decade of Disney and Marvel and hyper commercialization and all that stuff. We had a whole, and like I think the people who create this stuff, it's not that we don't like it anymore. I think we're just bored. I think we're just bored and we want to do something different. I have been listening to Dear Reader, the unauthorized biography of Kim Jong-il as told to Michael Malice. It is 100% true and authentic. I am nearing the end, and oh boy, does the North Korean history get spicy near the end there, near present day. And if you would like to listen to this amazing mythical story, head over to audibletrial.com/the Honey and Absinthe podcast, where you'll get one free audiobook. I highly recommend this book. It's very long, actually. That's audibletrial.com/the Honey and Absinthe podcast. Also, I was trying to explain this concept to you, but I guess the way I see it is, if you did not want to be like Disney, or if you didn't want to draw like that, you didn't want to create like that, you were a little bit more edgy, the edgiest you can get in terms of like still being able to like either get a job or be liked on Instagram or whatever it was, at a certain point it's just be a little bit grittier, just be like the DC. You know,
I'm Batman.
Like DC is still super commercial,
I'm Batman.
But in comparison to like Marvel, Disney,
kind of like it differentiates itself by being darker.
Yeah, it's a little bit more. It's like
moodier.
The alternative commercial stuff, and like, yeah, I think we're all bored, and I think we are just wanting to like go and do our own. We want something new and fresh, and we also have I saw that people have more ambition to even if they're not going to become the biggest thing of all time, the next Disney or whatever, they wanted to own something for themselves. They wanted just a little piece of that pie of like, and to work for themselves instead of to like work for someone else, and to do projects and sustain it business wise. And like everyone was thinking on those levels, which I could have never imagined. Even like being in high school, everyone's job was to work for a company. It wasn't to like, oh, I'm gonna like start my own clothing brand, which that's so common to hear now, even from like high school kids. Like they understand that that's a thing you can do, and it's not that hard. Compared to before, you had to like get investors and like somehow come up with a few $1 million just to like launch your first drop or something.
And then suddenly you can just go like, oh, I have a few $100s lying around. Maybe I'm gonna hire a friend or just sit there and design a thing.
Yeah, do it myself. Put it on like Redbubble or something. Yeah. Another story I wanted to tell about being in art school was that I actually saw, I'm a weirdo, and I like looking at everyone's grad show at the time, because I thought it was really, really important. And I mean, it is. Most people would just go to like their specific major because that's the only one that they cared about. But I was curious. I would try to sneak into the transportation department ones and look at their cool little car models and stuff. And because I was the weirdo who wanted to do storyboards instead of concept art, I understood my role as a storyboard artist, that I would either eventually become a director or I work directly with directors. So I never saw myself as someone that would only work in animation, because I liked a lot more things outside of cartoons. And I thought, like, who cares? Like, why should I pick one over the other? If I need work, I need work. Like, I'm not gonna turn down live action work because I'm a animation storyboard artist or something. So I understood the importance. So I would go and try to network with the film students. And so during the grad shows, I would go to the grad shows and I would watch like their short films. And one time I saw Macklemore's Thrift Shop on the grad show, and I'm pretty sure I saw it like before it became Thrift Shop.
Was this somebody's homework?
It was someone's thesis film, I guess. But like when I saw it, it was with a bunch of short films, a bunch of other music videos other people had made. So I was like, oh, that was a cool music video. And then it becomes like Thrift Shop.
Yeah.
So that's what we mean by, like, when you go to these things, you really are getting a glimpse of what's going to be culturally a thing in the near future. Another instance of like individual, leaning towards the individual and less towards this like whatever's really popular in the big company commercial wise. When we were going to school, if you drew anything Disney and put it up on Instagram, and what I mean by it was like it's this very specific style,
you get followers.
Yes. You know, first, you were more into the Instagram game than I was at a certain
you
point.
draw Elsa. You draw Elsa.
Yeah.
How are we going to get followers if we don't draw Elsa? Draw Elsa.
You knew, like, all these Instagram artists. Not new, but, like, you followed all these Instagram artists that like, were really big at the time. And, like, they all drew a certain way. And I remember, like, when we started hustling Instagram and trying to grow on Instagram, it became very, very obvious to the both of us why. Because we're illustrators who are trained to draw in a bunch of different styles. We can just figure it out. So it's not that hard to figure out how to draw in the style of like Disney or this person's style or that person's style. And usually when you're a growing artist, you try on a bunch of hats anyways. So we realized very quickly, oh, if I drew in this very like Disney-ified style, suddenly those posts go viral, or they get us more followers, or they get us more likes and stuff like that. So like you and I would like look at a bunch of these different artists and we'd be like, oh, if only we can draw like them, remember?
Yeah. We were like, oh, if we drew like them, then we get hella followers. Yeah. And then you could see that in the entire art community. Mm-hmm. It's like, everyone knows this. This isn't a secret or anything. If this is what the overall style looks like, that's what we got to do.
Yeah.
Color palettes.
Yeah.
And people take that. People have to take that.
Mm-hmm. But around 2020, when I left Disney, I made the conscious effort to like try to be more myself and just create the stuff that I personally wanted to create, which is very difficult when you've been training yourself to draw like a certain very commercial way for like most of your young adult life and most of your education and training. It's very difficult to break out of that. So even I started doing these like more illustrative, realistic sketches for myself in pencil or in coal erase pencil and stuff like that. And lo and behold, these drawings like every single time I thought they weren't going to do very well. It's one of the reasons why I took a really long time for you to convince me to do stuff in pencil. Because I was like, you have to render and stuff like that. Everyone likes ink and that graphic, like cartoon stuff, but you're like, no, it'll be good for you. So I was purely doing it for myself, and I didn't think it would be very popular at all, because I knew, you draw that Disney stuff, and you automatically, this is just like my stuff. Why would anyone? And these drawings would go viral, like more viral than any of my Disney stuff.
Yeah, and I would see it. I would like, look at that. Like, that's so crazy. I had no idea if we drew our original stuff, then maybe I don't know, maybe people actually like that this time.
Yeah. And then I started seeing this trend on Instagram where, like, yes, nowadays if you draw, like, name any Disney artist that you like, if you drew like them, you probably still would get some amount of notoriety, likes, follows, whatever for it. But it became a lot more popular in the past 2 years or so for more like unique individual art styles to become popular, and really, really fast. Like, we grew, our Instagram grew really, really fast in the past like year or two, simply because I started doing my own art, and it aligned with, culturally, people were kind of thirsty for that kind of stuff. Whereas, like, if I just kept doing this really like Disney-ified, cartoony, appealing looking art, I don't think we would have grown as fast. It would have been more expected. Like, everyone and their mother does stuff like that.
Yeah,
like,
but if it was like 2011, it's different.
It's different, yeah. Everyone wanted to draw like that and couldn't, I guess, back then. So I thought that from where we're sitting in the stuff that we're noticing, it's just everything seems to be trending towards this more individual, creator-friendly space culturally. And I think Disney's always going to be there. Like, I don't think it's going away. Like, people forget, before Tangled, basically, no one gave a shit about Disney. They just had, like, Princess and the Frog, and it failed miserably. And when we were going to, no one wanted to work at Disney. They wanted to work at DreamWorks or Pixar.
Yeah.
So this phenomenon is like how Disney is like top king. It's Disney. Like, that's how people refer to Disney. Like, I don't know, it's Disney, and it connotates certain things.
They reach a height, like a really, really big height. Like, they come out of nowhere too. Yeah. But then they reach this height, and then they commit seppuku. And once in a while, Disney and then they disappear. And then they come back.
Yeah.
It happens all the time. I don't think Disney's going anywhere. It's just like the people have spoken.
Yeah.
The people have spoken. Enough is enough.
The journalists don't have your back. The actors probably don't have your back either. The public definitely doesn't have your back. The
people have spoken.
Yes. But then you asked me a question. You asked me, do you think it's possible for someone to become like the next Disney? And then I thought about it really hard, because my first inclination is to say no.
Yeah, because I think most people think it's impossible.
Yeah.
It's like impossible. But Disney, like, the guy, he was just some guy, right? He didn't have like a crazy inheritance or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I asked you, what's more impossible, becoming Disney or becoming Getty? Like anybody in the Getty estate.
Yeah, and it was like Getty.
Yeah, that's like... But people view Disney as this unattainable, Getty, monolithic, like, impossible juggernaut figure.
Yeah.
They have theme parks, they own sports and all this stuff. But then, like, I think about, like, the recent people who've done crazy things, like PewDiePie. Mm-hmm. The dude was just some dude, and then he became, like, a household name in terms of streaming.
Yeah.
And then just doing random stuff on the internet. And then this Mr. Beast guy, I saw this video of him, like, basically using a warehouse to recreate Squid Game.
Yeah.
And I'm like, This is insane. How do you do that? You could probably buy acres of land and make a theme park.
Buy acres of
you
land.
could make a theme like what the hell?
Yeah. Yeah, so I thought about it. I was like, wait, actually I think so.
Yeah.
I think it's not that I think someone can become the next Disney. I think someone can become as great or greater than Disney in a different way.
Yeah.
But like that level of like success and notoriety and achievement as a creative person, I think it is possible. And my mind went to, it has to be proven in not just like our own very, very niche bubble, our like field of expertise. And I thought like, well, look at Elon Musk. If you were to say prior to whenever Tesla came out that someone would create a new car brand next to Toyota, next to Ford, next to like all like new in like, I forgot when he came out, maybe in the
when
2000s.
we were in high school, we didn't know what the hell Tesla was.
Yeah.
You right?
Yeah,
I don't
no.
think I knew anything about
yeah.
it. I only knew about it in college.
If you were to say some guy is going to make a completely, even if you said it now, it sounds ridiculous.
Yeah.
I'm going to make a new car brand. It's going to be called Janet's Motors. I don't know. But like, it sounds ridiculous. But he did it. In modern times, he made a new car brand and is continuously making new companies in a lot of different places, and just because he wants to and because he is smart enough and talented enough to do so.
This kid agrees. And if Musk wanted to just drop everything and like suddenly make movies and theme parks and all this stuff, it's just like, and I don't see, he could totally do it.
I think so.
He could just do it.
Yeah. And another example would be like Apple. Prior to the iPod, I didn't know all that much about Apple.
Oh, it's
and Macintosh computers, yeah.
Oh, Windows was all the rage when we were growing up.
When we were growing up, everyone had a Windows 95 computer.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone
Windows
who had
98.
a Mac.
Oh man.
Yeah. I have no idea. Like, I didn't know Macintosh was a thing until the iPod.
I mean, I knew that they were sort of like the Pepsi and the Coke of computers.
I didn't.
I knew that at least.
I only knew like
there's Sega,
Dell
Nintendo, there was Apple, that,
I had no clue. And like literally I feel like the only barrier to entry for this type of stuff is you need to create something that kind of like unites the entire world in their fandom of your thing. So like
because we're also fractured now, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's in their little camp, right? Everyone's in their little Disney camp, everyone's in their anime camp, everyone's in their comic book camp, and then internet camp and all of this stuff. And I think it, like, the last time we all came together with something, it really seemed like was Game of Thrones, and what a fucking disaster that was.
Yeah.
But as of right now, I don't think anything has come out that has quite captured the attention, like water cooler talk.
Yeah, no. The closest thing is Squid Game, but I don't see that lasting as long as something as, like, let's say House of Cards.
They're gonna do another season though.
Yeah, but like I already don't think the hype is going to last that long. I really don't think so. Like,
you think it's overhyped?
I mean, I didn't watch it, so
that's true.
But it seems that way. Like, like when it took a lot longer for things like Stranger Things, let's say, to leave the public zeitgeist. Meanwhile, I feel like Squid Game has come and went and is already on its way out.
A flash in the pan,
yeah,
you might say.
Isn't that crazy? Like, Stranger Things took like such a big cultural moment that everyone started dressing like it.
It influenced fashion, I think.
Yeah,
that whole
and
thing
music.
came back. Yeah, music,
fashion,
too.
music.
Oh, synths came back.
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
Do you think just because of that show?
No, what? Yeah,
100%.
I think like Roland and all of the synth companies sold so many synths in the past decade, but like prior to the 2010s to now, keys weren't like a thing. Yeah, it was guitars and all that stuff.
And like punk rock. and then like MIDI with house
just tons of MIDI.
and that kind of stuff.
MIDI for days. And I think, I don't know, to me it just seems like if you haven't seen it, the Silk Sonic stuff, the new music videos, oh, so good.
It seems like we're coming back. Like we had a
real
whole,
instruments are coming back
again, like back to basics, like people who can play actual instruments instead of just like input stuff in
MIDI.
in a MIDI format in the computer. Producers, like it seems like producers all had a moment, which is great, for you guys.
But I really think, just look at YouTube. Are we wrong? Look at YouTube and put producer, Kenny Beats, Timbaland, like it's like producer after producer. It's just like oversaturated.
Yeah, and
but they had their moment. It was pretty dope.
Yeah. And I'm sure they were really excited when they finally got their moment, and like,
because producers were never really like they never had the spotlight. No one ever like gave the person who like put the song together the time of day.
Yeah, they all idolize like the singer, the songwriter,
the pianist, the guitar player. Yeah.
But finally the producers had their day. But then now it's like gotten so like cliche almost, and like overly popular, that like now it's trending back towards actual instruments, how it used to be. I think it's hilarious. But like, so there's like Steve Jobs, there's Tesla, there's, I mean, obviously people like Katzenberg making DreamWorks, but there's also like Kanye.
Yeah.
Whatever you think about him, he was never supposed to become who he is today.
He was just a producer.
He was just supposed to be a producer.
People didn't even like that he would rap on top of his. Remember, I think we saw some sort of like thing on him that like the music industry didn't like that. It was very much like you either
produced,
were an MC or you produced. Yeah.
And he was like, "No, I'm going to do both." Because
that was kind of like not really. Yeah, that was kind of not really a thing.
And then he was like, "This isn't peak Kanye enough for me, so I'm gonna like make a clothing brand, and I'm gonna like make a school, make a choir, make all these things." And I think we have the ability culturally and trend, like all the trends are just trending towards like, because we can do this more now, like we don't need as much money, we don't need as much like anything. The individual is definitely coming back, and I think people can become the next Disney or greater than Disney. And I guess my point with all of this is that the past 10 years, people have treated Disney a certain way.
Like God.
Like, yeah.
Like it's Kanye or something.
Yeah, like some immovable pillar in society. It's always going to be king. Their movie, like, we noticed this past month, every movie theater showing whatever, everyone just avoids all the Disney movies. I'm like, get out of here with that bullshit. I don't like that. Like the week before, and like the week of, and the week after Eternals, all you have to watch is Eternals, because I'm like, I don't want to watch that. Okay, can you give me like, can WB or someone just put a movie there instead?
Yeah. I feel like the other studios, whenever there's a Disney release, they're like, stay clear.
Stay away.
We can't be like 2 weeks before or after, or else we're gonna get screwed. No,
this is time.
Attack! like fucking get in there. Fucking dig in and get in there. Get risky. Because like as a moviegoer, like this sucks.
Yeah,
that like
it sucks.
I have like as a moviegoer, I have like, as you see with our podcast, we've been watching movies for the past month. We've been like digging in, man. Movies it's been awesome going out again.
Yeah.
But like this Eternals weekend, I don't like, it's like everyone doesn't want to be a part.
Like,
I'm scared.
Yeah.
Like the next kind of like release that isn't kind of Disney related is that Ghostbusters thing.
Yeah.
But like I have to wait like a couple weeks.
Yeah. Until
I'm just
then.
like, this bullshit. Just like, man, I hope next year when there's like another Disney release, just dig in.
Just go.
Dune Part 2. Go boom.
After it.
Get it. Get it, Paramount. Get it, Universal.
Yeah, come on. Get
it, WB.
Something new.
God, I'm tired of this. Like, the Disney The Disney thing. No,
it's
I don't
too
think.
strong.
They don't got it.
Yeah.
They don't got it. Get in there. Get in there.
My point is Disney is weaker than you think. Like they are not. They never really were this big pillar in society that everyone goes like, well, it's Disney, like as if it like what it's just Disney. I hope people can see and hope that like this change in culture, if you're not aware now that it's popular to shit on Disney, it is now popular to shit on Disney, which means Disney is a lot weaker than you think, and there could be another big thing
in the horizon.
Maybe
it's not new.
Them.
Yeah, maybe it's brand new.
Which
like whoa,
makes me very
expands our minds. Excited.
Very excited.
Yeah.
Which we wanted to recommend. James May Goes to Japan.
I think that's what it's called. I think it's called Our Man Japan. But if you have the Amazon streaming platform, it's there.
Yeah, about James May from
Top Gear.
Yeah.
And Grand Prix, the Grand Prix.
Are you sure?
I don't know. Grand Tour.
Yeah,
Grand Tour. That's so bad. Grand Tour. You get the idea.
It's an amazing show. I laughed so much.
Oh god, the fucking Tokyo episode was so fucking cringe. Oh my god, I couldn't look at the screen. I just kept looking at my phone because every time I looked up I was going like, no, this is really embarrassing. Like secondhand embarrassment.
The best dad jokes.
Oh god.
He makes me cringe on purpose like no other.
I want, like, after I watched it, I was like, I have a goal. It is whenever we do videos, I just want to make our audience cringe this hard.
This hard.
Yeah.
I find
this hard.
So funny. I'm just dying.
God, I can't. It feels like I'm being burned alive. I'm like, no, and like fire ants all over my skin. No.
Well,
because he would just do the most embarrassing stuff in front of the Japanese people
on purpose.
On purpose. Because it's good TV.
Conflict. Something that I wanted to like point out about the show. I think it was like the Tokyo episode. I forget. But like he goes to this amazing art gallery show thing.
Art installation.
Yeah. And it's this crazy light show.
Yeah, like you go in and like there's like this maze of light bulbs, like these little marble sized lights, and they're just everywhere. And when we were talking about how like I wish the spice of, you know, Dune was cooler or represented in a more like trippy way. It's like that type of stuff. I was like, oh my god, couldn't you just do that?
Yeah.
You know, when Paul hallucinates, it's like turn it like all of a sudden it just turns into balls.
Yeah. I was like, Spice could have looked like this.
Yeah.
Like it was so crazy. Like the craziest part to me is like the lights interact with you as you walk through.
Whoa.
Yeah. So
imagine Paul's hallucinating and then like all this stuff is like
changing.
Oh, so
it's like surreal and stuff.
Yeah.
So like as you walk through, it can kind of sense where you are in the room, and then the whole room will change from like a sunflower field to like a forest or something, or like in the rain room, it's raining, but if you're standing against the wall, it'll look like it's raining on you. And it won't rain, like if you put your arm out, it won't show rain under your arm and stuff like that. Or like there are certain things you can like touch and then it'll like burst, or like you can interact with the light. And I was like, that's insane.
That's so crazy.
Man, watch that show if you like cringe dad humor. If you like this episode, make sure to like, jingle all our bells and buttons, and check out these other episodes over here to binge all our other episodes, and we will see you next time.
Bye.